Oftentimes as educators we find ourselves in a position where we are asked questions that are a little bit outside of our comfort zone. For me, those questions are really a challenge to answer in a way that is God-focused. When a student comes into class and has a particular issue on their mind, it's really important that first of all we're compassionate and that we are able to meet them where they are and understand that we may not even know why they've asked the question. But it's really critical that we spend time with that student answering their questions directly, but remembering that we are only one piece of the puzzle in the student's world. That not only do they have to be responsible to us, or they also have family at home that has their own values. And it's important that they hear from us, but they also hear from people that care about them at home. So when a student comes to me and asks me a particularly difficult question, and those questions come in end-of-life issues, things like suicide, things like sexual issues, when they come in and they ask a question, even if it's something as simple as how come my Uncle John can't receive communion in our church, we need to meet them right where they are, be as direct as we can, but understand that sometimes you don't even know what brought them to you. When we're able to do that, the student grows, and we refer them back to the family, and sometimes the family grows as a result as well. It's important that we remember that we are not to muddy the water. We shouldn't muddy the water as far as church teaching. It doesn't benefit anyone for us as teachers to go in and answer a question with something that sounds ambiguous in terms of church teaching. But the flip side is we share with them whatever it is in a compassionate way so that they really understand that we love them and God loves them. And one example that might be valuable to you to think about is my response often when I go out with the Archdiocesan response team. Sometimes we have to go out where a young person has committed suicide, and their friends will ask something like, is he going to be able to go to heaven? Well, of course you know their heart is broken. They've just lost their friend. It's so important for them to understand that their church loves them and they love the person who has died. It's also important to understand that church teaching does say we can't take a life. However, there are sometimes other circumstances that play in here and we believe that we have a God who loves us and understands what's inside of our heart. And in those situations, it's not always as black and white as it might seem. And so if you're able to convey that to a child and they can walk away feeling as if they've been heard and that they've been, that they've been heard by you and that they have, their question has been answered in some way, and they might have some more to explore once they leave where you are and they go back home and talk to their family, but at least they know that their church loves them. And no matter what's happened to them or to the people that they care about, the church will accept them back. Okay? Sometimes children will come to us with situations, and we may not know the background on them, but they may ask a question about children being born a family in a parent situation where the parents aren't married. They may ask us about, maybe their sister's pregnant and they haven't shared that information with you in the classroom, but they ask questions about that. And again, it's really important that we first of all love the child that's asking. Even if a child is brought into the world in a situation where the family's unmarried, or there's been some kind of difficulty, we still love the child that's been born. The church still accepts the child. It also accepts the parents where they are. It doesn't make them any less in the eyes of our faith that they've been born out of wedlock or that their parents have divorced. They're all valuable in our faith, even if our church is taught that you can't participate fully in the life of the faith without going to reconciliation if you're if you're divorced or if you haven't gotten annulment and have remarried. So in situations like that, in situations where, a young person knows someone or has had premarital sex, and then they're in their high school classroom and they're asking a question about it, it's going to be real important that we meet them where they are, and we then give them some guidance to move to reunite with their faith, to reunite with their church. Whenever possible, and again, to refer them back to their families for support in doing that. Not all of our families are 100% in line with what we believe, but we still have to toe the line. We still have to show this is what our faith asks of us. And people fall short lots of times. And it's okay, because God will let us come back, and that's why we have this wonderful sacrament of reconciliation. I think when a child comes to us and they ask us about reproductive issues, about growing up, about the physical changes that are happening in their body, again, as a teacher, we need to give them some information. We need to give them some information on the biology of it. We can give them some information on the religious aspects of, sort of their burgeoning sexual development. However, we also need to say, this is a really important conversation to continue having. These kind of conversations just don't happen once. They happen over time. Sort of as you grow, you're going to need new things. You're not always going to be in my 6th grade homeroom, or you're not always going to be in my religion class. Who is it at home that you feel comfortable with? Mom? Do you rather talk about this with Dad? Is there an older sibling in your house that you can have these conversations with? But always sort of directing them back to the family. Sometimes it's grandma. Grandma doesn't judge. So sometimes it's grandma, but definitely sending them back towards their family. And I think the best way to do that is to have them actually identify someone at home that they'd be most comfortable talking with. And, give them some strategies. I know that sometimes starting the conversation is really tough. So you might want to stick a note, on Mom's pillow saying, hey, I need to talk to you about something. It's kind of important. And then when Mom comes to you, she'll have a few quiet minutes, and she won't be trying to cook dinner and take care of other things around the house. She'll devote that time to you. I think that when you work with children, whatever your capacity, the most important thing for them to know is that they can trust you, that you will respond to them and answer the question. Sometimes a question, when it's asked, brings a lot more larger issues to light. But really, if they're asking a question, be specific in answering it, making sure that your answer is developmentally appropriate for who they are and the age that they are. You don't want to give them too many details they're not quite ready for, but make sure your answers are developmentally appropriate, and also that the child knows you heard them. Try not to pull in a lot of extra information. Answer what they've asked at their age level. And if you can do that, children will continue to trust you, and you will be just one more resource to them as they sort of take this journey through growth and development.